There is nothing quite like rivalry week in Happy Valley. Taking a look at the beautiful scenery in State College as Penn State gets set to take on rival Ohio State. A game where many are wondering if this is the year James Franklin finally gets it done against his rival. Here's the Nittany Lions head coach ahead of this one.
I love the noon games. There's nothing better than a noon game in Happy Valley against Ohio State. This place will be rocking. I've seen it all over social media. Our fans could not be more excited. Our alumni, our letterman, Jason Kabinda, we were just talking about that. Marcus, we were just talking about nothing better than a noon game in Happy Valley.
Coach just fired up about the noon kickoff. I think a few Penn State fans are bummed out. It's not a prime time kickoff, but we'll leave it there.
Right.
That was James Franklin ahead of kickoff at Beaver Stadium. Also at the stadium is our own Josh Pate. He joins us now as we continue to break down this Big Ten rivalry game. Josh, it's great to see you again. Thanks for taking some time. You know, we've been talking about Drew Allar all morning long. He is now off the injury report and is able to go today. You know, James actually threw out the idea we might see both quarterbacks in as well in this game. What's your take there? What is your expectation?
It's not a surprise that he's going. I was around him yesterday. There was really little doubt in the building that he was going to be able to play. I don't think that's the biggest question. The biggest question is, what do you get out of him? Because a Penn State offense at full strength in recent years hasn't been enough in this game. Drew Allar started this game last year. They couldn't move the ball in Columbus. And so I need to be able to get a really efficient, like high-level version of him. And the other thing I keep thinking about in the back of my mind is what we've seen with Texas A&M this year. You never compare Penn State to Texas A&M, but I do think there's a little bit of overlap and correlation in that twice this year, Texas A&M has bitten someone with the quarterback other than the one you thought you were going to see. At one point, it was Marcel Reed getting the job done last week. Previously, it was Connor Wigman carving up Missouri. So I wonder if we see Drew Allar today and he's clicking, that's fine. If we don't see him clicking, I wonder internally what that coaching staff has talked about and has decided would be the barometer after which they need to bring in Bo Pribula, because keep in mind, they don't view it as some like catastrophic drop off a cliff going to the backup quarterback here. In fact, the skill set of that backup probably falls pretty well in the wheelhouse of Andy Kotelnicki, the new offensive coordinator here.
Hey, you just mentioned Andy Kotelnicki, and my matchup for this game is going to be Tyler Warren against this Ohio State defense. How do you expect Andy Kotelnicki to get Tyler Warren heavily involved as a go-to guy, similar to what he did against USC?
If you watched him at Kansas, that's what he was really good at doing. He had Jalen Daniels there. He's got Allar here, maybe Pribula, but whoever he's got, it's the most basic stuff. It's like Xbox 101 mentality. It's find my playmakers and get them the ball. They didn't hesitate to do that, obviously, in the last quote-unquote big game that we watched this team play, and that was the Southern Cal game, where he had an entire season's worth of offense in one afternoon. And the thing about that is you can call yourself scheming to stop him all you want to. They move him all over the place, as you know. And if you haven't watched Penn State this year, watch Tyler Warren. Watch how many different places he lines up. It's very atypical. It's not necessarily traditional, but it's understanding our best player is probably this tight end, and we need to take advantage of him while we got him here.
Do you believe that play calling changes whatsoever with the injury to Drew Allar, or they just let him go as normal, complete drop back, and no hesitations?
Hey, can you hear us?
I couldn't even hear what was said there. And listen, the thing about it is, I mean, everyone said this was supposed to be a big noon kickoff and it was going to be sleepy, and the sun's not going to set for like 9 hours, and I still can't hear in this place, so I don't know what to say.
Pate, I got one for you, because we've talked about the Drew Allar's injury and it's kind of dominated the conversation. I don't know if we're talking enough about Ohio State's offensive line issues. Down a couple left tackles, they're shuffling things along the offensive line. They didn't run the ball really well last week against Nebraska. How concerned should we be about Ohio State's offensive line in the run game?
Massively. I talked to a couple of their coaches when they got here, and they'll tell you they're ready to go, and they are. They're hyped up. Everybody's hyped up every week. It's, can you execute? And they were even a little stunned internally with how bad they looked last week on the offensive line. Now, I'm sure they've done everything they can to rectify that. The closer you get to Ohio State, you know there's There's a little bit of talk about cohesiveness of coaching staff, but also how they're using guys and why can't we run the ball? Well, you can't run the ball because of the fundamental reasons that anyone can't run the ball. You can't create lanes for guys. And the concern is that a one-time deal or does that carry over? Is that a rest of the season problem? Dude, I think it's the biggest story in this game. I haven't even focused on Allar as much as I focused on that, and then in turn what it does or doesn't allow Ohio State to do offensively, because these are the kinds of games that they have been good enough to take over. Honestly, even if they play their B- or B-level game, they can't afford to do that today. It's the same thing we've seen with Bama this year. We saw it with Texas. We've seen it with Ohio State. The usual elite teams, what it means to be a top 5 team this year is not what it normally means. You are not immune to getting bitten by this stuff. There is no flawless team out there.
If you're Ohio State, I don't think you're game planning or really scared of anyone except for really Tyler Warren, right? But if you're Penn State, you're game planning for one guy in particular, and that's Jeremiah Smith. What kind of impact do you expect him to have today? I know he's 1 touchdown shy of surpassing Chris Carter's touchdown record from his freshman year. Just talk about Jeremiah Smith and what you expect to see from him, Josh.
Penn State went and got 2 transfer portal corners this past cycle, specifically really for this game. Because they're outside of Oregon, there really aren't a lot of receiver rooms that scare you in the Big Ten. Ohio State's room always does, and they've got a couple of guys in there again this year, specifically the one you mentioned, even as a true freshman, that can take over the game. You don't expect to shut him down. You expect, or you hope rather, that your guys and the personnel moves you made in the portal are enough to where he doesn't take over a game on you. The same way we just talked about Tyler Warren. You could copy and paste that language, and you could apply it to Jeremiah Smith. And there have been teams that have found some success throwing the ball on Penn State. The question, the multi-million-dollar question is, are you going to have time? And can you catch the ball and then yards after catch? It's the reason I think Jalen Reed at safety is such an important player today for Penn State. He excels in tackling and preventing yards after catch. That's the way Ohio State beat Nebraska last week. Got outplayed for large portions of the game, but they broke a couple of big explosives. Jeremiah Smith's probably the difference in that vein one way or the other today.
Okay, Pate, I've got one last question before we get your pick on the game. We've talked a lot about Ryan Day and James Franklin. How much pressure is on Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator at Ohio State, to get more production, whether it be in the running game, whether it be finding guys to get the ball to outside of Jeremiah Smith? How much pressure is on Chip Kelly for this offense to have a big day today?
It is a pressure game, man. There's pressure on like 10 different guys here. I think specifically, if I heard you right, I think you're talking about not only the head coaches here, but maybe coordinator level as well. We just mentioned Penn State went to the portal to get corners for games like this. Ohio State went to Chip Kelly for games like this. And I know it may be fair or unfair. You're paid several $1 million a year to do this. This is what it comes down to. These are the games you're remembered due to or because of. So pressure, it's tough, but it's fair.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here in College Football Pregame. Enjoy some of the reps. I see receivers taking some reps behind you. I saw number 4 taking off there.